who are new, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm a transformation coach who helps people just like you learn to lead from embodied joy and actually have a life that you in love and actually have a life that you are madly in love with despite what's happening around you. So we do that by teaching you to take radical responsibility for yourself so that you can be in the driver's seat of your life, have all of the empowerment. And I use two very specific tools to help with that. One is human design, which is a modern scientific self discovery system so that you can truly know yourself. And then the other one is NLP and subconscious reprogramming. Because once we truly know ourselves and who we are and how we're designed and what's for us, then we can see very clearly what all the bullshit programming and messaging that's been put on us is, and we can shed it. And I love that. I am a what I like to affectionately call a joy pusher. I believe in the power of joy. I know that joy is a form of revolution. I know that choosing happiness and gratitude is a form of revolution, especially in a world that is trying consistently to keep you small and to keep you down. And I have an entire method that's called the Brave Method, which is my own creative, strategic approach to problem solving, dreaming, designing, building, and actually having a life you're madly in love with. But what's the point of bravery anyway? So I have been doing this work. I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life. I learned very quickly out of college that while didn't I work really well with people, I don't work well for people. And that is still true today. At 50 years old, I just don't work well for people, but I do work well with people, which is why I'm great at my job. One of the many reasons that I know that I'm great at my job. But I have the Brave method, and Brave has always been my business. And I have an event called the Brave Method Workshop, and I used to have a group called the Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs. And I really spent a lot of time focusing on Brave as a concept. And I do love it. And I got away from it because I started to play around with other ways that working with me made people feel like they could hear themselves, like they could understand themselves, like they could trust themselves, like they could seek more joy, they could take up more space. But of course, all of those things are elements of bravery. And then last week, I was sitting and thinking about what's the point in bravery anyway? Why bother? Why do we want to be brave? And as I said before, when I first started my business, my focus was squarely on this concept of bravery, but not the kind that you're familiar with. Not, big necessarily big, huge, giant brave decisions that everyone and their sibling knows is brave. I came out after a decade of marriage and 4 kids. That was brave. We all know it was brave. But what about the little bravery, the little things, the kind that um, they whisper, they don't yell? I love that type of bravery, that sort of simple bravery, like maybe asking for what you want or setting a boundary or deciding to take care of yourself for a minute or going for a walk or saying no to something or saying yes or asking for help, deciding to take the day off and go to the park or lay down and read a book or maybe take a nap. Maybe it's getting up and taking a shower for that day that makes you brave. Like we get to decide each and every day what feels brave to us in that moment. You get to decide it and you can claim it. And there's so much power in that. So I'm always going to focus on that because it's really, really, really important. But bravery isn't about erasing fear, it's about embracing fear. Fear either owns you or empowers you, but it does give you information. Should you take the time to be curious about it? To go, what is it that I'm actually afraid of? Asking it questions, understanding why this fear is trying to protect you. We think of fear as something that is just bad, and it is not always bad. Sometimes our fears are really relevant. Sometimes they save our lives. I mean, I live in the United States right now. The fears are active, they are alive, they are clear and present dangers for so many people. Many people that I love and care for. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, right? We are fighting for our lives as well as immigrants, as well as Black people, as well. Like the list goes on and on and on, right? So those fears are clear and present dangers. Sometimes fear is here to protect us, but we want to ask questions. We want to understand it. And then we want to say, what do I want to do with this information? Because when we take radical responsibility for ourselves, that's how we stay empowered. Given what that I know about this situation, who do I want to be? How do I want to behave? What choices do I want to make? How can I be intentional about it? That is incredibly, incredibly brave. And then I thought more about what's the purpose? Why do we choose to do those things? Why do we choose to step into that bravery? Why do we choose to put the time and the effort in? And the answer that I got was that we're actually craving something very different than what we think bravery is going to give us. We're craving joy. When we choose bravery, it's because we want more joy. We want to feel better. We want to be more aligned, more peace, more satisfaction, more space to breathe and to laugh and feel like we belong in our own lives. Bravery is a tool and it's a powerful tool. And I love helping people embrace their bravery. And most people think they need a lot more bravery. And maybe you do, but I would like to tell you that if you think you need more bravery, you need the small type of bravery, not the big type of bravery, right? It's the compound effect. And I say that about everything. I say that about joy, about pleasure. You want to read more in your life, you want to exercise more, you want to write more emails or work on a book, like small intentional bite-sized steps, intentional actions lead to massive change. Taking the time to slow down, be introspective, think about who you are in this moment, what you want from this moment, what you want to do, and then just doing a little bit of it, that counts. That works. It's a power move. It was easy to sell bravery, but joy feels like it's a much harder sell because we understand the concept of bravery. We know what we think it is and we think we need more of it and everybody gets that. But joy, now that I have rebranded all of my stuff to talk about leading with embodied joy, what it means to be a heart-centered conscious leader that leads with embodied joy, that is a much harder sell because we have been taught that we have to earn joy. It's framed at the prize at the end of checking all the boxes and giving everybody what they want. We've never been told that it's something we can build our life on as a foundation. Joy's been treated like a dessert. You earn it. You can have it after you've worked really hard, after you've gotten successful, after you've suffered long enough and proven yourself thoroughly. And until then, head down, hustle up, babe. So I started talking more and more and more about joy and centering it as the real outcome of this work that I do every day. And I knew it might confuse people. It even turns some people off. It draws a lot of people in. My Substack title is Joyful Warrior or Joy Warrior, I think. Joy Warrior. And some people love it. Like they're really attracted to that. But so what does that mean? And how does it relate to you? And how is it relevant to you in your life? When you know your human design, you know yourself really, truly well, then you can make choices that align with bringing you joy. When you reprogram your subconscious and get rid of the bullshit that people put on you that's not yours or society or your parents or your teachers or the school systems or the news or whatever, then you get to embrace and embody more joy. And it's beautiful. Joy is not a luxury. It's not selfish. It's not frivolous. It's foundational. Joy is bravery. Choosing joy is brave. Being joyful is brave. Taking intentional action towards experiencing joy is brave. In a world that is so filled with stress and worry and exhaustion and struggle, choosing moments of joy is an absolute act of revolution. I've spent the last several months working on a subliminal audio content library specifically related to your human design so that you can live aligned in your human design. So subliminal audios are awesome because you listen to them in the background. They do have affirmations and reprogramming, but you can't hear it. You can only hear the music. And I've been working really hard to make sure we have um, scripts and audios for every different type, strategy, authority, profile line, environment, every center, open, like all of it. Um, Choosing to do that and be aligned leads to joy. That's bravery. Choosing yourself, finding time for yourself, creating time to show up for yourself, to prioritize yourself. That's bravery that leads to joy. It all still stands. It all still holds. I just see it now a lot more clearly. The brave method isn't about finding courage, it's about what that courage allows you to experience because joy is on the other side of bravery. Joy is on the other side of bravery. And I want you to remember that in order to have a life that you are madly in love with, you have to fight for it. It is worth fighting for. It is possible. You can lead from embodied joy. You show up differently when you choose joy. You can make time for yourself. You can pick yourself. And it doesn't mean you're selfish. It just means you're putting yourself first. And we live in a world that has always told us we're supposed to put ourselves last. But imagine for a second, just imagine for a second what it would be like if we took care of our own needs first so that we could fill our own cup and then it would overflow. And then we had more to give the people around us that we loved and that we cared for and that we worked with. Imagine for a second the joy that would erupt if we led with it, if we started with it. Because I know for sure that when we lead with embodied joy, we show up differently, we engage differently, we elicit different reactions and responses from people, and it changes the world. But it starts with you. So there are a lot of ways that you can do that. You can join me every Thursday. I do a live show. On Tuesdays, I do open office hours. You guys can find that through the link in my bio. So if you have questions, you want to know more about this, what does that mean, embodied joy? Or what is the Brave Method? Or what is subconscious reprogramming? Tell me more about human design. It's free. Join me every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central. Ask me anything, open office hours. I would love to have you there. I have so many easy ways for you to show up for yourself, taking time to do quiet meditation. We've got EFT tapping, the Spark Collective, which is an $18 a month community membership, which is really great. It meets you wherever you are. It's really designed for small intentional action in the cracks of your life because most of us don't have hours and hours and hours a day to dedicate to self-care, to working out, to meditation, to any of that. Like we have to create time in the spaces that we have. And we want that when we choose to do that, we want that time to be pleasurable. We don't want it to feel like we're hustling or we're forcing ourselves to do something gross because we think we have to. I want you to enjoy it. If you're looking for a really big, wonderful way to take some time for yourself, you could join me in Costa Rica in January of 2026 for the Reclaim Your Peace retreat. It is 6 days, all about you, focused on you finding time for yourself, being in community with other heart centered, conscious leaders, taking the time to be joyful and restful, to do self compassionate exploration, to have a little adventure and have a little fun. I would love to have you join us in Costa Rica. If you want to know more info, again, follow the link in my bio, send me a message, any of that. I would be happy to tell you about it. I want to know, what kind of bravery are you embracing today? What kind of joy are you embracing today? Because this is what leads to you coming home to yourself, picking yourself and prioritizing yourself. Where are you going to begin? Where are you going to start? Before I sign off today, I'm going to pull a quick Create Brave card, which these are a deck of manifestation cards. So, kind of like affirmation cards, oracle cards. Manifestation isn't something that you declare and then it magically happens. Manifestation is something that you declare and then you shift the way you show up in the world to make it happen. Manifestation is an action. It is an action. It takes action from you. So the Create Brave cards, manifestation cards, are just here to help you think creatively and out of the box about what you want to exist in your world. Ooh, there it goes. Now I got to go pick it up. Oh, I haven't gotten this card in a long time, but I kind of love it because maybe it'll bring you joy. Dance. So when we pull a Create Brave card, it's just your invitation to sit with it. Like, what does this mean? I am in flow with my work and my life. So maybe it actually means turning on some music you love and dancing. Maybe it means finding ways to be more pleasurable as you're creating flow in your work and in your personal life. Lots of different options. I love this card. It's a really beautiful one. If you want a deck of Create Brave cards, you can get those on my website as well. Links in the bio. I am so grateful that you chose to be here today and spend some time with me. Come back next Thursday. Join me on Tuesday for office hours. And if there's ever anything I can do to support you, please do let me know. It is my pleasure. Thank you for being here today. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.